Hello and welcome. If you are trying to make sense of a world that feels increasingly volatile and decisive, you are not alone. We are living through a historical inflection point where the systems that have governed the last 3 decades are fracturing and the new rules are being written in real time. Every year, one publication attempts the monumental task of synthesizing these shifts into a coherent forecast. The Economist, with its flagship The World in report, and this year they have fixed their gaze on 2026. Why 2026? It is brilliantly chosen horizon. It's not the distant sci-fi of the 2050, not the noisy immediacy of next year's election. 2026 exists in the adjacent possible. It is the future that is already being built in today's laboratories, legislative chambers, and boardrooms. It is close enough to feel urgent, but just far enough away for the consequences of a current choice to become starkly visible. Today, I'm not just going to summarize the report for you, we are going to reverse engineer it. We will unpack its core logic, dive into the gritty details of its predictions, and connect the dots between geopolitics in the South China Sea, code in Silicon Valley server firm, and the price of the electricity on your bill. This is a deep dive. Consider this your essential briefing on the force that will define the next 2 critical years. So let's begin at the highest level with the report's central governing thesis. So the report argues the four collisions that 2026 won't be defined by one mega trend. We are past the era of a single story like globalization. Instead, the character of the age will be determined by the violent interaction, the collision between several unstoppable forces. Think of this not as strain but as tectonic plates, geography grinding against each other. The earthquakes and volcanoes will happen at their fault line. Collision 1, the network versus the nation state, the dean of the global internet. So here we are at the era of a single story like globalization, and what is being born is something more fragmented, more contentious. Okay, we must mourn an idea, the dream of a singular, open, global digital common. What is being born is something more fragmented, more contentious, and more geopolitically charged. Analysts call it the splinternet or the technosphere. By 2026, this won't be therapy, it will be the lived experience of every netizen and corporation. Let's give the spheres, names and motives. A trusted and secure digital alliance, US led. Don't let the name fool you. This is about sovereignty and supremacy as much as trust. This block is crystallizing around a new doctrine, digital sovereignty with allied interoperability. The tools are aggressive industrial policy, the CHIPS Act pouring billions into domestic semiconductors. Foundries, the tools are export controls, meticulously denying China access to the most advanced chip making equipment. In the Netherlands, the tools are alliance in the Chip 4. Japan, US, Taiwan, South Korea, or AUKUS with its Pillar 2 on advanced tech sharing. The vision is a digital ecosystem among allies where data flow freely within the cloud. But high walls are built around it. So the app stores, the cloud providers, the social network here will increasingly be pressured formally or informally. Developmental digital sphere, China led. China is not just building a walled garden. It is exporting the blueprint for the entire garden. This is a digitization of the Belt and Road Initiative. It's Huawei building 5G infrastructure in Africa and the Middle East. It's the digital yuan being tested in cross-border. It's packages of smart cities, surveillance technology sold to government who value the control over policy. For privacy, for many developing nations, this sphere offers a compelling deal, leapfrog legacy system. Got modern infrastructure fast with no political strings attached about human rights or democratic reform. So the coalition here is between two fundamentally different philosophies of tech. One that view it as a tool for individual expression and market innovation, though often hypocritically, and another that view it as a tool of societal management. The regulatory archipelago, Europe is the wild card. It is a regulatory hegemon but a technological vassal. Through the sheer size of its single market, it sets the de facto global standard. GDPR redefined privacy worldwide. The Digital Markets Act is breaking open the walled garden of big tech. The AI Act is creating the world's first comprehensive AI rulebook. But here is a painful collision within Europe. It struggles to build its own champion. Where it's Europe's Google, its cloud giant, its AI leader. The tension for 2026 is whether Europe Brussels effect regulating other company can be married to a genuine European innovation effect, growing its own. Their push for digital sovereignty will mean more rules, more fines, and frantic attempts. The bottom line, what we can say is that from this thing in 2026, a startup founder in Berlin, a software engineer in Bangalore, and a consumer in Brazil will not be accessing the same internet. They will be navigating different legal jurisdictions, different available platforms, and different flow of information. This is the most profound reorganization of information space. Collision 2, the green transition versus the geopolitics of energy. 2026 will be hot, but the bigger story is that the politics of climate change are getting even hotter. This is a collision between the long term existential green imperative and the immediate brutal geopolitics of power and poverty. On one flank, pressure is institutionalizing. The EU's carbon border adjustment mechanism will be fully operational. This isn't just a tax, it's a unilateral reshaping of global trade rule. It says if you want to sell steel, cement, or fertilizer, you must pay for the carbon emitted in its production, regardless of your home country rule. This is climate policy as economic statecraft and attempt to force the world to adopt European standards. It must be made with accusation of green protectionism and threats of lawsuits at the WTO. On the other flank, a harsh reality has set in. Energy security is national security. The war in Ukraine was a watershed. It demonstrated that reliance on potentially hostile suppliers is an existential vulnerability. The goal is no longer just clean energy but secure energy. This changes everything. The nuclear gambit. Look at the stunning political reversals. Germany, which phased out its nuclear plant, is now quietly extending the life of its remaining one. France is launching a massive program to build 14 new reactors. Even Japan is restarting. So why? Because nuclear offers what renewable currency cannot, dense, always want weatherproof baseload power. That isn't imported from a dictator. By 2026, small modular reactors will move from PowerPoint to prototype, promising a safer, more flexible nuclear future. The gas dilemma, natural gas has been rhetorically demoted from transition fuel to fossil fuel, but strategically it has been promoted to strategic reserve fuel. New LNG terminals in Germany and across Europe are not permanent, so they are temporary. And they are permanent is in insurance policy, not only. So gas is a flexible partner to intermittent wind and solar and a tool to break political coercion. The unresolvable fight, loss, and damage is a moral fault line. When a climate driven flood emerges, a third of Pakistan who pay the historical emitters in the West or the victims at COP summits leading to 2026. This will be the issue that makes negotiation collapse. It's a fight over historical justice, reparations, and the fundamental inequality. There will be no clean resolution. Coalition 3, resilience versus efficiency. For 30 years, the mantra was efficiency, just in time, single source supplier from the lowest cost location. That model is now seen as a catastrophic vulnerability. The new mantra is resilience and the mechanism to achieve its friend shoring or de risking. This is not about making everything at home. It's about ensuring that for critical goods you are not dependent on geopolitical rival. This is industrial policy, international economics. Let's map the critical front. Silicon semiconductors. This is the most advanced battlefield. Taiwan produces over 60% of the world's most advanced chip. It is the single greatest strategic vulnerability for the West. The US Chips Act is a $50 billion attempt to change that calculus. By 2026, we will see the first mega fabs on American soil in Arizona and Ohio come online. But this isn't just a US-China story. Europe has its own Chips Act. Japan is investing heavily. The result, a massive costly duplication of the most complex manufacturing. Chip cost will rise, but the premium is being paid for security of supply. Green minefield. Your electric vehicle battery require lithium, cobalt, nickel. The magnets in wind turbine need rare earths. China's currently control over 80% of the global processing, so West is now engaged in a global scavenger hunt, making deal with Mongolia for copper, Chile for lithium, and Democratic Republic of Congo for cobalt. This isn't just commerce, it's resource diplomacy, tying mining investments to securing partnership. It is a new form of 21st century colonialism wrapped in the language of mutual benefit. The life science lifeline. The pandemic taught us that paracetamol and antibiotics can be weapons of war if supply is concentrated in an adversary's hand. Pharmaceuticals and their active pharmaceutical ingredient are now on de-risking list. Countries are building strategic stockpiles and mandating dual sourcing of our essential medicines. For a global business leader, this is a paradigm shift. Your CFO wants one hyper efficient supply chain, your chief risk officer, and now your government is demanding two or three. Map not for just one, for political reliability. The bottom line: higher cost, more complex logistics, and a world where it is made has important question as what it does. Collision 4, finally, the code of life versus the law of man, the bioconvergent shock. This is the most profound and least understood collision. We are at the point where AI, big data, and also genetic engineering and converging. This is in science fiction. By 2026, the first commercial fruits will be here, and they will force society to answer questions we are ethically unprepared for. The promise: AI as the architecture of biology. Imagine AI model that don't just recognize images but design them. But the images are protein structures. Company like DeepMind, AlphaFold have already cracked the protein folding problem. The next step is generative biology. AI designing novel proteins from scratch. This could mean enzymes that digest plastic pollution, new materials stronger than Kevlar, or ultra-targeted drugs with no side effect. In agriculture, AI will design climate-resilient crops and crop genomes. The peril, the Pandora's box of pandemic. The same toolkit that allow for benevolent design allow for malevolent design. The barriers to engineering a pathogen are falling. A well-funded skilled actor could, in theory, design a virus in a virtual lab before ever touching a physical one. Biosecurity is no longer just about guarding physical labs, it is about securing the digital blueprint for life itself. The report warns that by 2026, a major biotech incident, a lab leak, and a dual research scandal could trigger the equity chasm, the genetic divide. The first generation of gene therapy cost over $2 billion per person. The next wave of AI designed personalized medicines could be even more astronomically expensive. Will they be available only to the global elite? Will we see the emergence of a literal genetic upper class, enhanced and protected from disease, while the rest are left with 20th century medicine? This is not a distant worry. Clinical trials are happening now. And you know that in research, always pilot survey is important. The political and ethical debates around bioequity will explode by 2026. This collision is between exponential technology possibility and linear, slow-moving human institutions, ethics, and law. It may prove to be the defining challenge of our century. Okay. Now the engines of power. With these collisions as our map, let's zoom into the two primary engines generating the power, both electrical and geopolitical. For this new era, artificial intelligence and the transform energy system. So engine 1, artificial intelligence, from hive to infrastructure. The wow phase of ChatGPT and image generators will be a memory by 2026. AI will have vanished. And by vanished, I mean it will be embedded everywhere, like electricity. It will be in your car collision avoidance system, your doctor diagnostic assistant, your city's traffic flow optimizer, and your company's financial model. This is the AI play tool, less glamorous, far more powerful. The central economic puzzle of this phase is what the economists call the productivity paradox. We saw this with the internet in the 1990s. Massive investment, obvious utility, but measured productivity gain were elusive for years. Why? Because integrating transformative technology require reorganizing how we work. A lawyer using an AI to draft contracts 10x faster doesn't immediately translate to 10x more profit. It means the nature of legal work changes. Firms might need fewer junior associates for drafting, but more product managers for complex AI human collaboration. The gains are real, but they are diffuse and hard to capture in traditional GDP statistics until the entire economy reorganized around the new tool. But to reach this plateau, we must solve two brutal physical constraints: the compute choke point. Training the most advanced AI model require computing power on an almost unimaginable scale. This has triggered a global scramble for two things: semiconductor tunnel. Semiconductor, these are the oil of the 21st century. The most advanced chip currently at the 2-3 nanometer scale are produced in only a handful of factories, primarily in Taiwan and South Korea, Samsung and TSMC. This concentration is the single biggest strategic risk for the West. Hundreds of billions invested by the US Chip Act and European Chip Act are a bet on the technological sovereignty. By 2026, we will see if this bets pay off with viable leading edge production outside of Asia. The alternative is a permanent, precarious dependency, the talent war. The engineers who design these chips and the algorithm that run on them are a scarce global resource. Immigration policy are becoming a key lever in the AI race. Countries are fast tracking visa for AI specialists, creating a brain drain from university and research institutes worldwide toward the few hubs that can afford them. Energy abyss is the ultimate limiter. A single training run for a frontier AI model can consume more electricity than 100 US homes use in a year. And that's just training. Running this model every time you query a sophisticated AI assistant also takes significant power. The AI industry is on track to become one of the largest consumer of electricity on the planet. This creates a vicious cycle. We are trying AI to solve climate change, optimizing grids, modeling new material, but AI itself is becoming a major driver of energy demand. This inextricability links the future of AI to the success or failure of our next engine. The global energy system, engine 2, security and complexity. Forget the simple narrative of a straight line from fossil fuel to renewable. The energy system of 2026 will be complex, messy, and pragmatic patchwork, where the primary design principle is resilience and security. Let's break down. Renewables. Growth amidst gridlock. Solar and wind will continue their expansion primarily because they are now often the cheapest source of new electricity. And however, their growth faces a massive bottleneck in the grid. Our century-old electricity grids were built for a few dozen large, predictable power plant, not million of small intermittent solar panel and wind farm. Building a new high-voltage transmission line is a logistical and political nightmare, facing years of permitting delay and local opposition. Not in my backyard. By 2026, this gridlock will be the primary break. You clear the baseload bastion. In the face of its intermittency and the security crisis, nuclear power is experiencing a philosophical and political rehabilitation. It is being reframed not as a dangerous relief but as a foundation of a sovereignty. The bets are huge. Large scale France, UK, Poland are moving forward with new large scale reactors project and small scale. These are the potential game changer. Company like New Scale in the US and Rolls Royce in the UK are developing. By 2026, the first commercial SMR project should be under construction. Gas and the bridge that never end, liquefied natural gas. LNG is a geopolitical wildcard. New export terminals in the US and Qatar and import terminals in Germany and beyond are looking into LNG as a permanent global commodity. It is a flexible partner to renewables, able to ramp up when the sun doesn't shine and the wind doesn't blow. It is also a key tool of foreign policy with the US using LNG exports to bolster European ally against Russian coercion. The bridge metaphor is fading. Natural gas is becoming a permanent feature of the landscape. The unyielding reality of coal in Asia, particularly in India, China, and Southeast Asia, coal is not going anywhere. It is cheap, abundant, and provide energy independence. As long as development and poverty alleviation are priority, coal will remain the fuel of choice. The West moral pressure will clash with the global South's development reality. Another facet of the Great Coalition. The underlying battle, the critical minerals. None of this, not the battery for renewable, not the EVs, not even the high-tech alloy in advanced power plant happens without a suit of obscure mineral, lithium, cobalt. This has sparked a great game 2.0. A global scramble to secure mines and processing facility. China's early dominates this space has triggered a Western response of frantic deal-making with Charles lithium-rich Atacama Desert to the cobalt mines of DRC. The human terrain. How do these colossal shifts translate to human scale experience? Let's project forward to daily life in 2026. The world of work, the augmented employment. The job market will be reshaped by the hourglass effect we discussed, but with a critical new layer, ubiquitous augmentation. For most knowledge workers, an AI copilot will be standard as a keyboard. This won't mean mass unemployment, but it will mean constant disruptive reskilling. The most valuable skill must be the quintessence essentially human ones that AI lacks. High-level strategy, creative synthesis, ethical judgment. The social contract between employer and employee will be strained. Who owns the output when an AI does 70% of the drafting? How is performance measured? Political arena, the age of mistrust. Politics will be played on a field title towards volatility. The weaponization of deepfake. The 2024 election will be a warning siren. By 2026, the technology for creating flawless deepfake video and audio will be democratized. Imagine a fake, emotionally convincing video of a leader ordering a military mobilization released during a crisis, or a fake audio clip released the night before an election. The concept of evidence will be under assault. Institution for verification will struggle to keep up. Splinternet of the mind. As people in digital sphere consume entirely different new ecosystem, fact and historical narrative, the ability for society and nations to even agree on a basic shared reality will diminish. This isn't just polarization, it's epistemological divergence. Populism in the polycrisis, overlapping shock, economic pandemic, climate, migratory create a fertile ground for strongmen who offer simple narratives of blame. The policy response will be more protectionism, more industrial subsidy, and a retreat from multilateralism. Finance, a quantified, controlled, and costly daily life. The CBDC experiment. You may have a new app on your phone by 2026, your central bank digital currency wallet. A digital dollar or euro issued directly by the Federal Reserve. It promotes instant, cheap transaction and financial inclusion for the unbanked. So, unbanked. But it also opened door to press unprecedented state overnight. Could the government program stimulus money to expire if not spent? Health from treatment to prediction. Your variable will no longer just count step, it will be a continuous biomonitor. Tracking glucose, cortisol, heart rate variability, and even early inflammatory markers. So, your AI health assistant will give you predictive warning. You are showing early markers for a flu, rest now. This is a shift from sick care to true healthcare. But the data, this stream of your most intimate information will be fought over by tech company. Will it be used to deny you insurance or to offer you a personalized preventive care? The battle for your biodata will be the next great privacy war. Consumption, the tangle web. We will feel the friend soaring and the climate collision in stores. Some electronic will be more expensive as supply chain duplicate. You will see carbon footprint level on product influenced by CBM. You will interact with customer service. Also, as fluent, you will question if you should say please and thank you. And the tension between the green premium and the cost of living. Ethical consumption will become a luxury many cannot afford. The picture the Economist paints of 2026 is not a simple forecast of doom or boom. It's a map of inherent and intensifying turbulence. We are exiting a long phase of relative stability and integration and entering a protracted period of reorganization, competition, and system level stress. The report's ultimate value is not in specific prediction, though they are sharp and well reasoned. Its value in cultivating a specific mindset in us, the audience navigators mindset. The mindset that understands we are not in calm sea but in a period of white water. In white water, you cannot just point as a distant shore and row straight for it. You must read the river constantly, the rock, the current, the eddies. You must be agile, resilient, and prepared for sudden shift. This means for all of us, for business leaders, strategy must balance efficiency with resilience. Supply chain must be mapped for political least as much as cost. For investors, geopolitical analysis is no longer a niche specialty. It's a core to asset allocation. Understanding internet is as important as understanding a company's P by E ratio. Professionals' lifelong learning is not a glitch, it's a survival. Cultivate skill of synthesis, ethics, and human connection that machines cannot replicate. For citizens, media literacy is a civic duty. Question the source of explosive information. Understand that the digital space you inhabit is being shaped by powerful state and corporate forces. The forces mapping our course to 2026 are already unleashed. The question is no longer what is coming, how we will sail. Will we be clinging to the wreckage of old model, or will be adaptive, building anti-fragility into the system, our economy, and ourselves? The world in 2026 is not a fate, it's a challenge, and this report is our first best shot for navigating it. Thank you for your time and attention. If this deep dive brought clarity to the chaos, please like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Which of these coalitions are you preparing for? Let's continue this essential conversation.